join me today, my AKA Patters, just for a little bit of time, because we're going to crack open and get into The Electric State by Simon Stalenhag. Stalenhag? How do we even say this last name? Guys, $300 million on Netflix. We look in the back. I recently just bought this too, by the way. We don't need that though. But we go to the back. Isn't this amazing? Who knew this was a Skybound Entertainment book? Robert Kirkman. And where is the comic book world in celebrating the success of comic book creators? I don't know, but I want to look at the visuals. I want to look at the eyeball stuff. This has words. It does have some prose to it, and it's actually a really good story. We don't care about that. We just care about the artwork, because we do that here sometimes. So let's go. We have a good one today, AKA Powders. I know so many of you are discussing this movie, and you guys are seeing tweets and Facebook updates about this movie. Electric State. It's a Netflix movie, but here's the amazing thing. This comes to you from Skybound Entertainment, AKA Robert Kirkman. And the comic book world isn't celebrating any of it. Actually, the comic book world is backing a lot of these low-level, low-energy critics and reviewers out there that are immediately trashing this $300 million movie. Now, I say $300 million movie because it has some of the best special effects I've seen on screen, on the streaming service, on anything in quite some time. With that said, the origin of this movie is Robert Kirkman's Skybound Entertainment. They're behind the movie. They're behind the source material, which is this. And we're going to have a look at it, because when we develop opinions about things, AKA Patters, when we do that here, and don't forget the podcast, AKA Pad the Film Buff, when we do that here, we get as complete as possible. Now, does this make the movie any better or worse? No, it does not. But it makes me appreciate elements of the movie a little bit more, and I love seeing the process. Now, this has something some of you may not like. This has words in it. We're going to skip the words and get into, let's just we're going to get into the artwork, because it's amazing and it's jaw-dropping. So let's go. That's what we do here on Saturdays. Let's go. Let's hit that drawing table. And there she blows. Okay. Do we have to show off the cover? We really don't. Only because the cover is an interior page. Sometimes I like that. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes you want to say, just from a design standpoint, and let me come to you from like a graphic designer realm. The layout of this image here is perfect for the title and the credits. Everything just fits very well. We also have complementary colors. We have this sky blue background with the pink font, but it also echoes what's on the spine. Also echoes what's on our insert pages here. So, AKA Patters, sometimes form follows function, and that's a little bit of the point of the story here. Now, we're not going to get into the guts of the story. The reason for that is a couple times, it doesn't happen often, but a few times on this very channel, we just want the visuals. And that's everything we're doing. Now, guys, I do implore you, when you see this video, go watch the movie, because the movie has eyeball candy. I think it has a great story. No one seems to be picking up on the story. It's also very close to what's in here. So maybe if you guys want, maybe we'll do like a follow-up video on the story. But that would be further down the road. If you want to see that in the comments, let me know down below. I'm hanging on the title page here because look how well he painted these raindrops. And when I first saw this, you know what my instinct was? To wipe it so I could see the image. I don't know why. It just triggered this instinct in me. You know, it's like the bathroom mirror stuff. I just thought that was amazing. But this is a well-formatted book. Just out of the design of it all. We have this Mode 6, a new experience. 1/11/1996 by Century. Century is a prominent part of the movie, and we can see this is somewhat emulating an Apple product advertisement. I do like the weird effects and the weird squiggles here. I don't know why. I just think it's very indicative of the time. This is also, the movie hits it home a little bit more, but this is like a super futuristic drone driven VR world that's kind of like stuck in 90s-ish period. Okay, so with that said, yeah, we follow a journey of two individuals, but guys, look at the drone helmets, right? We see these throughout the entire book where people just have these decaying bodies. In the beginning, we get a little bit of detail on the war. The movie has a wonderful opening narration about the war, by the way. I love movies with opening narrations. But yeah, we get this almost like drone head graveyard, but it's essentially a road trip. And you know, like I don't want to spoil the hook of the movie, but this character and this character are almost the same, one-to-one. The human part of the journey is, you know, they develop that into a completely separate character, and they do a little bit more of a backstory, but it's there. Now, this book is guilty of one of my big criticisms, and let me grab my criticism notepad here, right here. I keep a notepad around my drawing table now. I never used to. Because so many of you during the live streams give me suggestions and you guys say things and I write them down. This is a little bit of my criticism when it comes to concept design work. And that's kind of what this is. Now, concept designers in the past have done books like this. They kind of do this. They do like three, you know, they do 3 planes. So we have 1, 2, and 3, right? And what they'll do is, you know, they'll put an object here. They'll put like, you know, a similar object here. And then the viewer will be like here, like the audience almost. And it's all, and they split it, you know, like it's eye line horizon. But they kind of do things like this, where they just put things like in the distance. There's a lot of viral concept design work on the interwebbies today that echo this, and I don't consider that concept design work because it's low-hanging fruit and you don't see much of a concept. You just see a skillful way of layering atmosphere, and it's sometimes used a little bit too much in this book. But everything's, you know, eye level, and we're like on this journey. And look, they come across a couple that recently, you know, like they're decaying. Like the world's just like upside down, which is so freaking cool. I mean, and we see this a few times. This guy, you know, this businessman at a charging station. But for this one, what I love about this, and this looks, I had nights in Florida where I had this view, and I wasn't quite sure where I was. This is what I love about here. Let me grab my trusty pencil, my eraser pen. I love right here. See these lights. Let me move that a little bit here. See the light here, and these two street lights. I don't know why. It adds so much distance and depth to the world. Now, a little bit of the world, and this guy knows how to render the back of cars. That's what she said. It's really well done. You just want to almost like stare at this just as an illustrator and spot some of the tricks. Now, he also does something that we talk about a lot on this channel, which is he blurs the horizon line, or blurs the contact points of the object and the surface. We do that. We always create a little bit of a haze because it's more realistic, and it's a exaggeration from what the naked eye really can see, but it's also more pleasing. But again, so see what I mean? Just about like things like in the distance. And I don't want to boil it down to that, but it definitely is one of the tricks of this book. They called this a shooting range. And you're a true comic book fan if when you see this, it reminds you of Batman Returns. That's the litmus test for that. But yeah, but not everything is like futuristic robot stuff. And the whole story is, and here's the cover. The story in the movie is essentially that the Sentry company is trying to gain more control through their like VR systems, and it's somewhat of a 80s villain like movie moment when we get the revelation. But at the same time, this movie also emulates the films of the 80s and a lot of the stuff from the 90s. I think it was on point. I think it was on cue. I know some of you may not think that. And here's the cool thing. So she kind of will talk about where she is like on the map. That's why we have the maps throughout this. And always like, in the distance we have, and these are the cool things. These are the drones that fight the war. So so we have like the giant power control stations like always in the distance. But when we get to see what the drone war looked like, and the drone war was like 7 years, it is eye-opening. And shots like this is what I love, because this is what I see during my business week when I walk around Philadelphia, PA. It's a little dystopian, but this, believe it or not, without the mountains, looks a lot like Philly. I love the logo for Sentry too. And we see two things here. Okay, we can kind of see where we were inspired by maybe like a real like panoramic postcard type shot. And we put these like new things, and we added a couple different wires around it. We add some graffiti, stuff like that. It sells it, and it doesn't sell it at the same time. It sells it in where it creates interest, but it doesn't sell it in believability, and that's what concept design work, or concept design in general, is supposed to give us a realm of believability that this was somehow built and structured, and or engineered, and just and this is me. This is just me. This may not be you. Sometimes it just feels like we're pasting things onto the scenery. Like this shot here. Again, nice panoramic of the, New Mexico, Arizona, California highway. This looks a little bit more like Mexico. And let's just put a, like a cartoon head. Again, very Batman Returns, right? Because we all know the Felix the Cat references to Batman Returns. I mean, the movie opens almost with a shot like this. Again, like we blur things into the distance, but this is there. Like, I feel like if you found this book, you would want to buy it. And I know a lot of you are not aware that this even exists. And I said, I have to bring this to you guys today. I mean, I even love the ribs here. And these are what the robots were. And this is what we see in the movie. So we do something similar, right? Like, we have the ribs for, the human drone, or the human drone graveyard. And then we have, graves for the robots here. And yes, do we have a point in the movie where robots and humans come together? Yes. winning design awards and wars. So some of like the backstory with these drone helmets and these drone control devices are, it's very simple, and it's a little Pacific Rim too. The humans were losing the human robot war, like clearly, right? But they were able to fight back when this neuro system, this neuro link system was created, and the humans were able to just like, you know, take over robot bodies, and from that the humans were able to win. So it's, you know, it's not even a little Pacific Rim, it's very Pacific Rim. Terminal condition. So again, I don't know what we call this style, because it's so a little bit like Cup Boy, if you guys are familiar with that video game, where everything emulated a 1940s Disney animation style. So I don't know how we combine those two together and what the term is, but we even have things here that remind us of Ready Player One. And you can say what you want about Ready Player One. That is a well designed, nice looking movie. I did only ever see it one time. And again too, see, like we have this early Disney look here. And I just like, I do like exotic looking ships. This is Chris Foss. You know, if you guys are familiar with his spaceship design work. Chris Foss, just famous, would put these awesome patterns on ships, on space vessels, and so on and so forth. We see a little bit of that here. But see, like, I like the ads just on top of things. But again, getting back to the observation, this looks like this was it was pasted on to this. And, you know, people have done, like, they've done Star Wars design work like this, where it will be a shot of the 1940s and they'll put, like, AT-ATs in the background and cool things like that. But I love here, like, that little mist, that some of that smoke or exhaust coming out of the vent. It's so subtle, and just the way it bleeds into the sky. Really cool stuff here. And I love I'm a little bit of a wire, like, junkie. I love the wire stuff. I just like when people do wires. But we do have like we have a like an in-world institution of the design. See, like, this design is the same as this here. It's the same, right? And we do echo that throughout the entire book, which I do enjoy. You know, like some of these worker drones, things like, it's just cool. It's just really nice to see this, like, and like these are wire runners, but it's just really cool to see a little bit of an extrapolation of when people think of drones, they don't think of, and we have a random, I believe this is the dog from Transformers, Mojo from Transformers 2007, that looks just like Mojo. You know, but when we think of power stations, we don't think of this. And when we think of drones, we don't think of a lot of the way. And guys, here we go. Like, don't you just want to wipe that to have a look? Look how well made this is. We can see that this is the sign of a master illustrator, because the solutions here, I mean, and this is very impressionist painting too, because, yeah, a lot of impressionist painting, it takes more effect when we squint our eyes, or when we want to squint our eyes. This is just perfection in my eyes. I don't know, as an illustrator, what other height you can do when you want to recreate something that the human eye sees, like, right down to the details. And the details look sporadic or erratic. They look a little random, which is also a part of why it's so good. You know, nice symmetry here. But guys, like, you know, talking about wire porn, and I love the lights in the distance here, the reflection. You know, like, keep in mind, a lot of times for film sets, they would wet the ground, they would wet the asphalt to get the reflection of the lights. You see so many movies that use that, and it's a useful technique. It's useful because it looks so good on camera. This is the one. See, like, this is where, again, we have these giant, like, monolith, like, control stations, power stations, with the advertisement. Look, the history, World Tour Live. So this is the Michael Jackson history tour. But, guys, big shout out. You know how much I love Burger King. Now, I don't know if this is a different type of reference. This Pepsi cat. Because this looks like Paula Abdul's cat. So Paula Abdul has a video where she dances with a cartoon cat. And that video cat reminds me of this cat. So I don't know if that's more of a inside joke. But you guys can kind of see what I mean about the logic of this. Because again, too, like, see these. So we kind of want to say, like, are these wires like direct connections to the houses? Which is very cool, very creepy. But also, like, if this is what the world is building and what the world is doing, why are we just living in normal houses? And the concept design work needs to transition that. They need to build a believability. So you would want some of the normal looking houses to echo some of this design work. So we can kind of believe that the world is being built. But these are cool. I do like the lights in the distance. That's a little bit of my trigger. And look, see here. Then we have this, like, march of the people drones. I guess, like, the march of the drone users, I should say. I'm struggling to define the people with the headgear. Some of the battleships. So, like, some of this is the beginning of Star Wars Force Awakens. Like, side note, these are matte finish pages. These are not glossy pages. And it's so much better because of that. I get glossy because glossy sometimes can print more vibrant colors. But when you want things more muted, print matte. See here too, like, see, wet wet asphalt, give me those reflections. Yeah, so the point I was making is we hear a little, and I think we read it here where all of Cape Victory. So she'll talk about, like, what's on the map, and then these are some of the, like, the battleships, and they're just kind of she says that they lay in formation, and some of them just seem scattered, and some of them are completely hollowed out. Guys, this is the, like, this here and this is the beginning of Star Wars Force Awakens with the Star Destroyers and right. Yeah, and we see too, like, see, these are like tank drones with, like, gorilla proportions, and again, very, very anime. The golden age of anime. So this is the one image I knew I had seen before. I don't know where. I probably saw it on Instagram or something. I like this though, but we do this a lot where we go, like, roar, like, and movies do this, post-apocalyptic, like, even the Nicolas Cage Arcadia movie does this. They go rural and they do, like, a simple house, a simple cabin somewhere, but then outside the cabin is, like, crazy future stuff, which is fine and fair. But it's, again, we need to have a little bit of a transition to really hit these ideas home. But I love the rim lightings. And here's the thing. So, and I think he sets it up. So we get this shot of one of the rims further into the book. And we know what it is. And we know what it is because he shows us a couple times what these towers are. And see, we see here. And, like, this is the cool stuff. Because, see, we see the construction guy. This is a guy that works for your township that shows up 3 days late and a buck short. But, he's working on something. And again, too, like, this is a lived-in world. again, like shades of the movie right here. Shades of the movie. So again, too, it's like this early Disney animation style with, a lot of the, what we see in Spielberg's AI, Spielberg Kubrick's AI. And I guess like that movie's going to have a second run soon. He does something very cool here because we see that, there's a little bit of like a lens flare for the police lights, but we also see that it potentially could be misting or raining. And again, really cool with effects. When you're trying to sell an idea, when you're trying to do anything, and we see like, some of the raindrops on the window. So much of this is from the perspective of a car, which also incredible. But he works in like effects along the way to sell that we're somewhere. Meaning, like, we're going to add the drops on the windows. We're going to add some of the like lens flare or some of the distortion because we're seeing this through a misty car window. Again, like working the effects into the narrative so that things can be sold, right? Things are not always clear. Portray them as unclear. Sell the idea. And again, like really cool stuff. I mean, like the way how there's a perfect amount of red to sell how illuminate. Now, and you want to say if the illumination of these slots here, or vents, whatever you want to call them, or indicator lights, that's what I would call them, right? If they're that bright, why we need highlights around here. We maybe even need like a red highlight around, this wooden sign. Home of Trey DeLuca. Wow, guys. Home of Trey DeLuca. Pack Coach of the Year. Wow. We have a connection. And you guys can see how we're like, these power stations. Right? And I guess like they're not even power stations. These are like routers. But we're selling the idea where we do kind of see like less and less of them as we go on our journey, right? Like this is where we establish what they look like, right? Clear, less clear, a little bit less clear, less clear. It's a great setup because we have a payoff. And again, too, like again, if you saw this, and look at all the little drone users. Little bit, they're like army ants. You want to say, if you saw this and they're making a movie of this, you might point to like something like this and you might say, this is what we need to see. We need sequences with these giant broken down robots that are like kind of almost like skeletons and like, like their intestines are just like spilling out. We need this. Well, you get this in the movie. Get into another. So, some of it is for the world to be built. Do we have like too many different designs like in the distance? Like, do we have? Because like these are the ones that we saw earlier, but they have towers. And again too, like you can piece together some of the work. So like these ones for the neighborhood are the same as the industrial routers. We'll call those routers. But then, let's just see here. See, then we have these ones, right, with the little sectional part. Like, I guess they're... these... I'm trying to figure out some of the terminology here. But see, like, these kind of break apart here. And we see that here... But then these ones are the ones with the phallic towers. So again, like he's building on the ideas, but then is also able to get really abstract. And here, see, like we have more of these drone people. And it's interesting because we get abstract with the military vehicles and then with almost like the user-based robots, we'll say. And again, too, like more with this. Don't you just want to wipe it? See? And we're setting up that shot I told you guys about. But see, like, then we have these like floater barge guys. Like, these are, like, again, like, really creepy. But again, like, there is a disconnection between, like, these just being here and then the rest being, like, rural and, like, normal. Like, these things need to be a little bit corrupted. Because, like, they would have to be compromised if the world, like, right, was advanced enough to build these. Like, this would have to be compromised. Like, again, like, you would say, this needs to be in the movie. But, guys, look at some of these cars. I don't care if he's, like, using photo reference or tracing. It doesn't matter. It's too good. You know, like, we talk about this. If you're going to use photo reference, use it in the way to trick people. Again, more of these routers. But, like, this house, like, we see the phone pole here be a little bit compromised. And by compromised, see how it has, like, the indicator lights? Like, it is a little bit compromised. Now, here's the weird thing. And this is coming from an IT perspective. Anything, whenever we see red is not go in IT. Red is you're down and you're in trouble. Okay? Green is go in IT. Steady green, actually. We want a steady green flicker. Again, that business guy again at the charging station, at the power station. And again, too, like, we're continuing our journey. We have the little robot boy, nice hair there. So there's also, like, a reference. I think it's like cosmic kid. We see that early in the movie. They reference that here. That's also a payoff. Here we get a little bit of an animatic. We get the girl or the person, but in the movie it's a girl, so we call it here a girl. The girl with the shotgun and the little robot boy. Nice effect too with the flashlight. They're walking up to this house, and we look inside. Right, that's what a amazing shot. And then we're back, right? Like, someone else is coming up to the house, and we see another decayed body. But guys, like, he is setting up this one shot, and then this dude is going up to the house, and then we're inside the house. Let me see a deer. Because again, these are the things we have to... This is imagery we're familiar with, and we have to thank movies like I Am Legend for it, where... and even 12 Monkeys, where nature has infected the civilized world because of a breakdown. Let me see here. So we see the birds are moving. And here we go. Another drone robot who's connected to the house rises up. And you might want to say, like, we're in this, like, industrialized robot drone world, right? Like, why would you make it look so creepy? And we kind of want to say, based on some of the other, like, like, we're kind of, he could have had, like, this is the skeletal remains of something that was probably more pleasing. Really cool stuff. Yeah, and then we find, like, the kid with the drone helmet, and that's, like, her brother. And then we gotta rescue the brother. Dude, I love that shot, though. The little cartoon dude with the shotgun. And this is the shot I was talking about. This is the big payoff, because see how little we see of the router, but we know what these lines are. Like, I just think it's, like, it was purposeful. And by purposeful, too, it's something to where, our author, illustrator, like, sometimes you let things happen. You just put things in place. You let them happen. And you kind of see, right? And see, like, the reflection here. This is a power work. And guys, I've been to, like, pizza places, gas stations, just like this. Like you gotta do things like add the phone booth. This is a powerful work. And and they end up at the ocean at the end. And there is the other payoff. There's no detail, and we know what that red line means. And see here, and then we look, no drone helmet, and the robot's gone. Like, the robot's down because the kid was inside the robot, the consciousness of the kid. And that's the point of the whole movie. Like, this is the point of the movie, guys. And this moment in the film, it's a powerful thing because it's about letting go. And see, like, the router is off. I don't know, guys. I thought this really was. I mean, I think this is the best thing to come out of Skybound, period. I know you guys just want to keep talking about Transformers and G.I. Joe. I don't know why. That Transformers book is just bizarre to me. It just is. It's not Transformers in my eyes. Not saying it's not entertaining. I'm not sure what else Robert Kirkman has put him or his company's name behind other than this. And we go through this, and it's an easy sell because it's so good. It's why wouldn't you want to make a movie about this? And when you're creating, when you're doing stuff, when you're here at the drawing table, you have to ask yourself that very question.